We are back. It is turn 29 in the Hypnotic Specter game series. I am playing Jotunheim in the Middle Ages. And last video was a really long one. We went pretty in depth on a variety of different topics. This one's going to be a lot shorter. That being said, there was a massive turn of events. And I am going to pull up the messages here and just let it ride because Machaca sieged Vanheim. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'm gonna take a pause at this point because this fight goes 170 plus turns, and what I want to note is the fact that all of his hunter spiders are taking decay damage. These units are aging at an extremely fast rate and will probably die within minutes. So when you see all of this, pink numbers upticking here, this is the decay rate for these units. And you can see how tar pitting the center with these regenerative units. He has these earth elementals, he's got a lot of blurred units, he's got ethereal units. Vanheim has a bunch of really good magics that it's been using to gum up the center while simultaneously causing all of his units to decay. And this is a sort of a nightmare scenario for especially Machaca, but any nation that relies extensively on sacred units for their army compositions because sacred units are restricted in a lot of ways. We're kind of circumventing that by summoning sacred units. You can get lucky and find sacred unit sites, but for the most part, it's very expensive to recruit sacreds, not just because of cost, but also because of turns, and the number of turns that it can take, being restricted in the number of turns that you can create sacred units. So this situation right here, where you have all of your sacreds getting hit with decay magic, really, really bad. We got some routing off the field. We still have plenty of commanders sitting here hitting them with Sermon of Courage. But for all intents and purposes, this fight's over. The question in my mind when I watched this was, who wins this situation? Also, I think that there's an issue sometimes with the replays. I'm not entirely sure if it exactly shows a one for one of how the game calculated the result, but what I will note is that I last turn was joking that Vanheim had uh, renamed a new prophet, but this prophet will go on to win the entire round for him. After this goes 170 rounds, the one unit that was left standing was his prophet. And I don't even want to. I don't even know if I can, talk over all of this. There's not a whole lot else to say. You've just got Machaca casting um, Animate Dead creating skeletons, and then you've got Vanheim's Prophet just routinely casting uh, Final Rest to banish the undead. So again, it's just a total stalemate at this point, and this could have gone either way. Either, Machaca's units could have pushed through or like gotten close enough to use magic, but pretty ugly outcome for Machaca. In fact, we'll take a look at the retreat details to see if we can get any insights from that. I'm going to stop watching this. What you should note is that at some point it turns into twilight and then it turns into total darkness. And at the point that it turns into total darkness, all of Machaca's units rout. And then, for whatever reason, Vanheim's Prophet routes at the very last second. So, truly one of the most awkward fights I've ever seen in 600 hours of playing this game. I do feel a little bad for my human opponent because I think he was expecting this to just be a steamroll, and it wasn't. And this can happen. This is what happened to me last time. In the game that I played as Pyrene most recently, this exact situation happened when I went to siege Machaca's province. I was at war against Machaca as Pyrene in that game, and what I thought was just going to be your standard um, siege battle turned into this tar-pitted slugfest, and I ended up losing 30 sacreds, and I ended up losing that war with Machaca, but ultimately I won that game. So yeah, so we're at 192 combat rounds that went, which is pretty nuts. So there you go. If you've ever wondered what happens when there's just massive stalemate and a siege, that's what it is. So all right, Vanheim's done. The rest of this turn is gonna be pretty transactional. Thaumaturgy level 2 is done. We're gonna have Thaumaturgy 3 up next round, which is gonna allow us to cast remote site search for nature and astral. That's going to give us a huge bump in our nature gem economy. That will be really good. We know of 2 sites that we need to search out. Uh, we found a nature mage or earth magic site. So the Scotty here searched out coral statue. Coral statue give us access to mermages. They have a 100% chance for either air, water, earth, or nature. And they are amphibians, so these guys can come up on land. Um, Now, I should note that although this does open up Earth, the Earth path to us, it's only at a 25% chance to get that every 2 turns because these guys cost, where is it? Recruitment points. What's the cost for these guys? I think it's 2 points. Gold. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Um, Yeah, I think these guys are 2 command points, so we would recruit one every other turn, unless we wanted to put a fort up in Lucky Lake, which we don't want to do. So it's cool that we have access to Earth. It's cool that we can potentially get a nature water mage. If the game goes longer, we will probably put a lab up there and go for it and start trying to get some units there. Uh, Moss Body, that is the spell I was trying to think of. Is Moss Body in Alteration? Moss Body, yes. Reduces damage by 15, fire resistance, moss explosion. So this adds poison damage, but I don't think that'll be as good against Machaca. But Moss Body is a really good spell. I do like this spell. Um, so that would be the spell that we'd use if we got Earth and Nature, or excuse me, Nature and Water. But yeah, so again, just like opening up our options with mages. Okay, I want to showcase, there's some other battles here. Um, let's look at the battle in Bulwark. So I'm going to pause it. So here is my formation. And I've got these rows to open up this like 1 column and allow flyers to kind of like 1 for 1 land in squares next to my guys. And this normally works pretty well. But you'll note that my priests are actually out in front of a double line of the Thrimshirting from Jotunheim. And then you've got my mages right here. And this this is important because they don't have a wraparound on the sides. And this is a bit of a mistake. The reason I have my priests out in front is because I want them to cast Bless on a double line and hit as many of these Thrimshirtings as they can. Um, and I thought that I was protecting my mages by putting them in this line, but you'll see what happens here. We're just up against a pretty weak province defense, but there are these flying units here, and that's going to be what we talk about here. So, combat round one, we've got buffs going off, we have our guys moving in, and I'm not sure if they were on hold. They were on hold and attack. So now you see the flyers are coming in without enough people behind. They land on top of our mages. And you can see that our Vedi Hag is going to get picked off here. So, unfortunate that we lost the Vedi Hag. I do, I just wanted to showcase that example of like, this is what can happen if you're not careful with your mage placement because they are very, very weak. Um, anyways, all right, that was the mage pickoff. Scout ping in Troll Lands. Let's take a look at Troll Canyon. Actually, I want to take a quick peek at the after action for Vanheim. That is so brutal. Oh my God. I think if I pointed to a single turn where we won the game, it would be this turn. This factored into some decisions that I'm going to go over here in a second for army movement, but to lose 43 Black Hunters on a cap siege and not take the capital, I don't think Machaca can declare war on us at this point. Um, they just don't have the units. I don't think that that is so bad. Um, oh man. Like I feel for my friend, but at the same time, if it's not completely obvious, I'm pretty excited about the fact that this happened, um, because it takes all of the pressure off of us in the north. Um, this kind of went from a really, really scary fighting force that could have just gone straight east from Vanheim to a complete nothing burger. So that is that's real bad. I wanted to point out one more thing about this battle. I wanted to point this out. This is wrong. There is no reason to have these chaff units. That cannot be right. They should not have lined up these chaff units in the front. The reason that I say that is you want to get your sacreds in the front door and pushing through as quickly as possible before all the spells start going off, before all of the buffs, ethereals, the mist forms, all of that stuff that just gums up the center and then lets the walled archers just kind of slowly chip away at you. Man. So yeah, mixed feelings about this. I do feel like this kind of makes it easy for us to push through to victory. We're at turn 29, but I could see this game ending before turn 50. Uh, so yeah. Anyways, let's move on. Scout ping and troll land. Yes, troll land. So first off, we did a scout ping. Where is he? He's right here. Um, let's take a look at formations. As you can see, it's exactly what we predicted. There's an ice drake over here. Not too scary, not too scary, nothing out of the ordinary. Commanders here. Where are the Did the wyverns already fly over? Oh, they're in flight. The wyverns are in flight. There's not that many wyverns. Spoiler alert. The thing that I did note is if I hold tab, I can see all of the commanders. Look at how many mages there are. Gift of Formlessness, Body Ethereal, Group Blur, Body Ethereal, Deflect. So yeah, there's a lot of higher end mages in the army. I don't think it'll be a factor still. It'll be a little bit annoying, but and there could be some opportunities for them to cast some evocations that nuke down some of our units. But I think all in all, we will pretty well wipe the floor with them. Let's see. And so yeah, our scout unfortunately a little too slow on the uptick. Let's take a look at these guys real quick. Hit points 35, bite, barbed tail, animals flying, cold-blooded, shock resistant. Yeah, so not even that good. Wyverns are not even that good. They do have a magic attack, not a factor for us. So, anyways, yeah, not too scary of a fighting force. The mages are going to be annoying and definitely the scariest thing on the field, but we can handle it. Scout ping results, we went over that. The rest of it is very, like, uneventful. Took back a bunch of provinces. We moved through. Let's take a look at the army movement. So we moved from Stonegrave Mountain. We double expanded. We went from Stonegrave to Farseers with our main force, and then we took a smaller force into Troll Canyons. And then I said from Troll Canyons, we gave this guy um, the Azure Amulet so that he could travel across to Elderhill. And sure enough, in getting to Farseer Mountains and Agenor and Elderhill, it says Elderhill has 10 enemy units. The army consists mainly of, oh, it's heavy cavalry. I think we'll still be all right. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit harder than I thought, but this one says it's free of enemy units, so I don't know what's going on there. Um, So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to maintain siege with a larger force, and then we're going to kind of do the same thing here. We're going to split off a smaller fighting force with 8 sacreds, some bodyguards, take Agenor, and then we'll look to Greensink and Erd and just continue to move our way east until we bump into Shin. Notably, Shin did not respond to our non-aggression pact proposal. Again, don't really care if they don't agree to it, but it would be a bit of a shame if they just totally ignore it because you lose dominion when an AI player just ignores it. I don't know what the deal is with that mechanic, but either way, we're going to move our central force, the bulwark, into Glypha, or wait, what is that called? Olypha. And then we've got some site searching going on. We've got this group doing a vast majority coverage for all of our magic paths. We've got a witch moving in here. So yeah. And then what I meant, so let's just take a look at Vanheim's situation now. Okay, so first off, I took a screenshot of this because I just thought it was so funny. It's just so brutal for him. And so a couple things now. This went from I was worried about him taking his force and just rolling through this top, the northern part of our territory, but now, what I think I'm going to do is do a bit of a head fake, keep these units moving up into Strongdale. I'm going to move these units into Strongdale. I'm going to do some preaching, and then um, what I think is going to happen is my hope is that my opponent picks up on that and sees that I have units staged in Strongdale, and then he over indexes on that and decides I'm going to like either purchase units in the north or I'm going to move units further up from Achaka up to the north, and then that can keep them further away from Troll Land. If I was in Machaka's shoes, I would do something very simple. I would give up on the north, and I would try to take this throne in response to losing that fight. It would just take him too long to walk these units north into Vanheim's territory again. So at this point, like, I might even consider declaring for war with Machaca proactively because I don't think we are going to be able to attack Troll Lands and hold it without Machaca deciding he's just going to take the majority of his force here. So I do need to get some more scouts up so I can ping him, but we'll see. I think the next turn's resolution will be very telling in terms of where, like, the direction that Machaca picks. Again, if I was in their shoes, I would either take the Land of Our Lord or Troll Lands. Troll Lands seems like the logical choice here. So I don't think we're going to do them any favors by um, trying to attack into Troll Land ourselves. I think we'll let them continue to attrition units, and then um, when they go to attack into Troll Land, then we can attack in ourselves. So that's it for today. Hopefully we get in one more turn at least today, if not a few more in this afternoon. So if you have any feedback, thoughts, comments, I'm all ears. I'm loving Jotunheim. I think they are just such a cool faction, such a fun faction, and frankly a little bit forgiving. The units are so buff, they're expensive, but they're so strong that we've hardly attritioned anything, especially with the war with the AI. I'm curious how our armies fare against our human opponents. I'm sure that we could, go take advantage of this situation and really put the pressure on our opponent, but I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to focus on taking territory in Nazca, continuing to see this chart go up and to the right, and go from there. Have a good day. See you later.